What? Oh wait, I don't even have the mic. What's going on, everybody? SWETZ here, uh, and I am a failed musician after 8 years, eight-ish, give or take a year or two, and to give in breaks of being a failure, an absolute, complete, and total failure of a musician. It's a hard pill to swallow. I'm kidding, of course. It's not that serious. It's not that deep. But getting close to the age of 30, and by the time that you're seeing this, it'll probably most likely be my birthday. I wanted to make this video because it's been a long time coming. And in the hopes that, one, for anybody who supported me and fans, I guess, who've listened to my music in the past up until this point, kind of to serve as an update, but more importantly, I think to kind of serve other artists who are going through something similar, and anybody new that wants to get into music making, that maybe you could listen to this video and it'll give you some insight from someone who's been there and done that before. Because I have quite a story to tell, and I feel like a lot of wisdom and knowledge that I want to get on video, considering how much time has passed. So this is going to be a multi-purpose sort of video. I feel like it's going to be a long one, and I even had to have ChatGPT help me kind of make an outline to cover all the points that I wanted. So you might see different outfits throughout this video as well, because I'm going to be filming this over the next week or two. And by the time you're seeing this as well, I'm probably in Brazil. So, jae. But anyway, let me go ahead and take these off, which they will come back on later. And let me come back to Luke Martinez. Hi, nice to meet you. Anyway, so let me give a bit of introduction in case you are new and you don't know who I am. My artist name is Sweats. I released my first song in 2018. But really, you could say I probably was making music since 2016. Oh, okay. Thank you, cheap Amazon Light. I don't know how this is going to look, actually. I'm just going to turn it off. You cannot do this to me. You cannot disrespect me like that. Okay. So I think so. Really, if we really think about it in like actual terms, because it did take me a while to put out my first album, A Place Beyond the Noise, in 2018. It really feels like it's been 10 years. Technically, it's 8 if you want to base it on my first published song, but I feel like it's been 10 years. But anyway, so I've been making music for quite some time. I have my experience, and that's kind of my, I guess, journey. I started off making really just kind of experimental, poppy, housey dance music, in the aforementioned A Place Beyond the Noise, my first album that I released in 2018. And the creation process for that was it took long. It's always taken me long to make music, because I didn't want to rush it, and it was just like this thought that kind of started off small and would just gradually build to become something bigger. And it took me a while to actually put something out, and I think that was part of the beauty of my beginning stages of creation. So that's kind of beginning. And I'm not going to go through every single aspect of my journey, like every single release, whatever, because I just don't think that's what I'm most interested in telling right now. I'm just kind of painting a bigger picture, I guess you could say, and kind of just explaining where I've been, what I've done, and kind of where I'm going, so to speak, in the future. So I have some quite a bit of amount of time invested into this, and from the beginning, definitely have grown and improved on a lot of areas like mixing, mastering, arrangement, and but specifically thinking about the beginning, was very has been interesting. As a matter of fact, today I was just listening to the very first song that I put out, and maybe I'll put like some sort of thing off to the side or a link where you could listen to it. It was Gone. The title of the song, Gone. And I was just listening to in the shower before making this video, and it made me smile. It almost borderline made me emotional because I was just thinking about that's me. I just had that feeling of like, "Oh, I made this? Oh, snap, okay." It was rough around the edges, like, a lot of the mixing was off, but one thing I could say, it was just, like, very just raw and authentic, and it was just, like, creativity in its purest form, and it was just, like to me, it's just, like, kind of like lightning in a bottle sort of experience, and it was just great. And it was especially great because before, if you were to ask me a couple of years ago when I was like hands delved deep into trying to make music a career and make money off of it, I was under the impression, or I always had this opinion, that when people would ask me, "Oh, do you like listen to your music? Like you enjoy it like afterward when I'm making it?" And I would say no. And it always would weird people out. And I guess sort of the mentality that I would have of the sort of line and the logic of that would be like, well, I made this thing, now I can just move on to something better. Which isn't that half bad of an I guess mental process, but it kind of I wasn't able to appreciate the things that I have made and give them the time and space. I would give them the time and space, but I wouldn't go back and appreciate them as I feel like I just did now. And maybe you could say it was just like I had to necessarily take that much time away from it to be able to garner the appreciation for it. But yeah, I'm kind of mixed feelings when it comes to that now. But anyway, I feel like that's a good sort of explanation as to what I've done. The very early and beginning stages were very fun and very creative. I know, crazy, right? To say like making music, that my creative process was creative. That changed. That changed as the years would go on. My styles has always been kind of fluid and almost genreless from the very beginning. I always had the impression of what if you were to make music like a DJ, how a DJ kind of splices in and out and kind of mixes in and out of different styles at times in different songs. What if you were to take the mentality and put it in a single song? Like, sure, you would lose some catch, but in my mind, you would never really, you would always be giving the listener like something to kind of look forward to. Like you would never know what would come next. And I've always loved that mentality when it came to making music. And that's what my earliest works, A Place Beyond the Noise. And I feel a little bit like the Clean Boy EP, which was the EP that followed like a year or two maybe after that. I feel like that's what was the strongest suit, even though I didn't have the most technical know-how and the best arrangement skills. That's kind of how I would describe my early works and my creative process and my origins, so to speak, with Sweats. So that's 2018 Clean Boy EP, more fun, dancey house tracks, very fun. Clean Boy, the number one track from that, at least in terms of engagement and just notoriety from people that would listen to it, that kind of became my second pseudonym or my second nickname, Sweats, aka the clean boy, the clean one, that kind of lent itself to the Sweats and Steve show around 2020. Um that was great. That was when, like, okay, Place Beyond the Noise was cool, and like there's potential there. I feel like Clean Boy EP was like, okay, we're going somewhere with this. I like it. It's fun, it's energetic, it's upbeat, it's housey, it's silly, kind of fitting, the the whole glasses shtick, whatever gimmick, I guess, whatever. And that was great. And then after that, I kind of put out a couple singles. In my real life, I'm a funeral director and a embalmer, so I went to school in 2021, and I put out some singles throughout that process as well. Um, and yeah, I definitely was getting more skill, a lot more know-how, more technically sound. Um, and that would continue for the next couple years with the singles and stuff. But at some point in between there, I made like a mental shift to want to kind of go more professional route, in the sense of seeing if I could really make a career out of it, seeing if I could really make music as a living, and really to see if I could make some good money eventually in the future. Maybe not initially, but make investments for the future. And I signed up to not, and this isn't to throw shade at them at all. I don't think it has anything to do with them. I signed up for a lot of classes and education and what's the word? Workshops with Indiepreneur, and that kind of got me turned on to music marketing and Facebook ads and things like that. Like, I mean, really, really educating myself and learned how to ways that you could possibly make music legitimately with making music full time and as a career. Um, and so that journey, that was a long process and learning things, and that's when I really started to put my skin in the game. By putting $100 here, $100 there, eventually just like coming to the amounts of like thousands of dollars to try to get people to hear my music by using Facebook and Instagram ads. And so like kind of I'm making this pivot, right, toward more professional things and trying to improve, which is good. And spending this money now, so I have skin in the game, so I'm invested, right? And naturally, as that comes, that want to make money, you start to take a lot other and people's processes into consideration with your creative process, and trying to make things faster and try to make things more on a deadline, which again is good. It's really good. If you're trying to do this as a career, you can't just be sort of willy-nilly, but it's also, we're dealing with a creative process here. A creative process that's yielding a product. Well, take it easy. I'm saying product, but it is art. But it's also, if you're pursuing this professionally, it is a product, and products need deadlines. But at the same time, it's also art that is a creative process that cannot be rushed and has an inherent abstract value concept tied to it, which you have to then go and to sell using your best marketing abilities, or you pay someone, and you might yield a good result, you might not. But you're going to be paying more than it would take necessarily if you went and did it yourself, especially here in the social media and digital age. But that's the journey that I took, right? And on top of that, I wanted to also kind of go in a more artistic direction, for people to take me seriously. You look at me and you see my glasses, and it's funny, it's God. It's like, oh, what the heck? I still wanted to retain that, but I wanted to also be taken seriously. And that's kind of what lent itself to more serious songs, and more concepts, and also the idea of a concept album and creating like lore in a world, which has always interested me. And I I wouldn't lie. I would be lying if I would say if I was saying that it still doesn't interest me. It's just very hard to pull off. And to honestly to get people to care. Not to say that that's the only thing that matters, and if people don't care, you shouldn't. But um, yeah, that's something that I wanted to do. Um, and so I put out a song where my brother shaves my head. We don't need to say goodbye, and I feel like that was maybe like one of the first beginning serious songs that I put out. Although I always did have like songs, especially on A Place Beyond the Noise, that were a little bit more heartfelt. Like it wasn't all just fun. I wanted to take the listener on a listening experience, a roller coaster of a listening experience where it's up, it's down, it's left, it's right. It's like, but at the end you feel satisfied. You know what I mean? Um, so I think that was always a part of my creations as well. Um, but at the same time, when I'm making this pivot, right, and working with this concept album, um, my brother Daniel passed away, tragically, and that kind of solidified this new pivot that I wanted to do. Initially, I had this idea to make like a concept album, but it's also abstract of like completely different sound, like more like a Radiohead like type electronica sort of thing, called While We're Asleep. And uh, my brother passed away, and I, you know, was mulling it over and trying to think of not right away, because obviously I there was lots of time of grief uh, before this, but after that happened, it solidified the pivot that I was making, and it the concept that was While We're Asleep, this abstract sort of electronica thing, morphed into the the concept album While I'm Asleep. And that process was it was a mixed bag. It was a mixed bag because now if I'm taking this professionally, I have to stick to deadlines, and I sat down every single day, after work. Some days I'm feeling it more, some days I'm not, but I sat down every single day, damn near, for like a year. Um, it feels like, I think, to spent the rest of the year from March is when he passed away up until February of 2023, um, and then put out the first single of that album. And up until that point, between when he passed away in 2022 to the release of, what was the first song that I put out? Pray for Me. Pray for Me. I worked on that album every single day, while dealing with the grief of things, while being in a relationship, while dealing with other responsibilities with work, with fitness, with my workout schedule. I still did it, and I got it done, and it felt accomplishment. It felt accomplishing. 12 tracks, I think 10. No, I think it was 9. I think it was 9. Yeah, it was 9. Fact check me on this one if I'm lying. And I put that out eventually at the end of 2023 in December. And I was working on the next one very soon after. And trying to use those tools and that knowledge that I had about the marketing and trying to then take it and sell my album. I had sold a couple of the CDs that of the 100 CDs that I printed out. But it was only a couple. And I had bought t-shirts and I sold a couple of those, mostly family, a couple family members and friends bought the merchandise, but for the most part, the rest of it just kind of just sat. Um, but throughout this process, right, even going back to 2018, in my mind, there was never any thought of failure. There was never any sort of flinching. There was never like any denial, any denying that I was going to make it, that I was going to succeed. Because that's what this music and this process and this art, that is what gave me a sort of winner's mentality, an ambitious mentality. That's just like, you only fail unless you quit, sort of thing. And that's like one thing that I'll never go back on, and I'll never say that was that wasn't that was worth it. I mean, I could say that I'm a failed musician, whatever that means, but it's the lesson that I learned and the mentality and the discipline that making music taught me. It's just like, it can't go away. Like, just there's no way, because I literally take that and I apply that in so many other aspects of my life to this day. So like, that can't be taken away from me. But I don't want to get sidetracked here. Let's kind of scale it back, just a little bit, and we'll lean into more of the advice and tips to any fellow musicians or new aspiring musicians out there. First off, if you're getting into music to make money, get out. Get out. There are so many other so much easier ways to make money. It is unreal. Okay? Like, just don't do it. Please, I'm telling you, save your time, save your money, and do not get involved in this because you want to get rich. Because unless you're already rich, like, it's just not going to be worth it. And you're going to like find out how easily you can resent being an artist. And that's an unfortunate place to be. And I think just, artists that have succeeded and have made it, and maybe if they're more arrogant, on the more arrogant side, might say, well, that's just a cope. That's just a cope, that's just a cope that failed musicians might say, or people that didn't make it or gave up might just say. But I mean, it is true. I mean, you mean to tell me like you're going to, don't get me wrong, if you can take an abstract value concept that is art and sell it and be profitable, that's pretty fucking cool. It's pretty cool. But it's hard. It's hard. And there's so many variables to it that it's like, dude, you mean to tell me that it's easier to sell a piece of music or an album than it is to sell like a dishwasher or a microwave or a phone? Like, come on, man. Get real. Like those are like actual tangible things that have a concrete value offer, as opposed to something that's abstract like art and music, where it's like to somebody it clearly might be zero, but like a microwave or a phone, like they have actual, real world like applications. I don't want to get like too OCD or over explain this, but I think the most of you, if you're watching this, you might understand what I'm talking about. Um, but it's hard, it's difficult. And you could say that it's a cope, but it's real. It's very real. And it's just, I don't know. I think kind of going into just the amount of capital that it takes to kind of get merch going. Well, first and foremost, yeah, like I said before, to reiterate, don't if you're trying to get into this to get rich, do not get into it. Save your money and go get somewhere else. Keep your 9 to 5 and make other side investments. Invest in gold and silver. Not a financial advisor, okay, by the way. Go invest in the stock market. Do something other than that. But aside from that, kind of another sort of tip when it comes to advertising and marketing, again, more specifically when it comes to social media sites like Facebook ads and Instagram ads and things of that nature, once they see that you pay, that you're willing to pay for exposure, you're never getting organic exposure ever again. It just doesn't, from a business standpoint, it literally is the only thing that makes sense. You know what I mean? And I think it's just these social media companies do not care about you. Obviously, duh, we know this. Like they're a for-profit corporation. Like, duh, you're not saying anything like insightful here. Right. But I just at some point, like it feels like coming from someone who spent thousands of dollars, it feels like at a certain point you're just throwing your money into like a black hole. And it's, I don't know, man. It's not fun. And you think to yourself, well, okay, this is just the cost of doing business. Like you have to kind of, some ads are going to work, some ads won't. Like you just try different content because there's different aspects to it too. It's not only the amount of money that you're putting into it, but it's just the time and the effort, man. Like in 2023, I was busting my ass, like here on this table, actually making content and like I had to make music like for a couple hours a year, and then I have to take more time to make content and like plan stuff out, and then spend my weekends to like make this content that may or may not, that likely will not hit, even if I put money behind it. And it's just like these social media companies are just sucking us dry. They're sucking us dry, like have us on like puppets on a string. They have our time, our money, and our energy. And what do we get in return? What do we get? Like, what do we get? And I get it. It's like, well, some people do succeed in that way. Sure, okay, fine. But A, that's not most. And two, it's just like they stand to gain every single thing from your effort, your time, and your money. And in the meantime, I know for a fact, because I lived it, that it's just turning into more of resentment toward the actual thing that you started out loving to do. And it's so sick. Like, it's so, like, we're these puppets in this, like, attention economy, no different. As artists, we're no different than someone who's, like, fucking, like, showing you how to, like, cook and marinate steak, or someone who's mowing a lawn at 2 times speed. Like, you know what I mean? It's the attention. And we're not only that, but we're also competing with multi-billion-dollar corporations like Disney, Netflix. It's the attention economy, man. Like, our attention in this day and age is commoditized. Is that the right word? Is it commodity? I don't know. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so it's just like you're just this cog in a machine, man. And you're the sucker. You work hard for your money. You work in lame ass 9 to 5. So then you could go and just shill it out to Instagram, bro, to Facebook. And it's just like I just want to make music and share it with people. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to do this shit. I don't want to make videos all like fucking every weekend after busting my ass at work. You know what I mean? And it's like, I get it. Like, there's going to be maybe some musicians there. You don't want it hard enough. You got to hustle more. You got to want it. And it's just like, brother, I don't think it's that. It's just that. Don't get me wrong. I was literally on that same shit. Was literally on that same vibe, bro. I promise you that. And some people might say this is cope. You have a fair point. Maybe if I would have stuck it out a little bit longer, maybe things could have been different. Who knows? Okay. Right. But I'm just trying to like get you, if you're a musician who's going through this as well, or an aspiring musician who has all these lofty ambitions and wants to educate yourself and who's interested in like that business side and marketing side of music, I'm just letting you know what you're getting into to start. Because it is a grind fest, man. And you're going to sacrifice things. And that's the thing about sacrifice. Sacrifice is a risk. And with a risk is a risk. And you don't know if it's going to pay off. But at the very least, you have to still find enjoyment in your music and your creative process. And if you can't even get enjoyment off that alone, brother, it is going to wear. I don't care how much of a hustler you are. Like, it's just going to wear you down. Just like as a human being. I'm telling you, no amount of content. I don't care if you post every single day. We're at the ebbs and flows and the whimsical desires of an algorithm, which I feel like has diminishing returns. This is totally separate side note. I feel like social media at this point is diminishing returns. Like, it's so ubiquitous now, but it's like you can get the attention, but the attention is like vapid. It's so like here today, gone tomorrow. And you mean to tell me that 100,000 views on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok is the same? It has the same value as 100,000 people just like getting to see you in real life? I don't think so. I really don't think so, but that's just my opinion. But anyway, I might have some more points to come back to that. We'll see. But I feel like I had to get that one off my chest and kind of say that. Okay. So we're going to be talking about me now. The best part of the video. My future vision and where I want to go now. At 2025, I was mainly focused on traveling, which I love, by the way. Loving it. As I said, by the time you're watching this, it'll probably be on my birthday. and I'll probably be in Brazil. I am going to be in Brazil on my actual birthday. And I've just been enjoying that. And it's been fun. And I've been putting out vlogs. Maybe I'll link the vlogs here in the description below or somewhere over here, maybe. And I've been enjoying that. But when I come back, I am going to have to lock into some things as far as career wise. But on the side of that, I have really been feeling the call back to creating music, back to making music. But in my absence, since early last year, 2025, I've grown a lot wiser, and I now have a good head on my shoulders in order to undergo the creative process at my own speed, at which I'm comfortable of, and with no desire, no actual real desire to monetize it, whether that's money or attention. And I can genuinely say that. Like some of my vlogs or whatever, they get a couple views, maybe a like or two, and very rarely a comment. But I couldn't care. Why? And I'm not trying to make this about vlogs, but I'm trying to condense this down as to different alternative reasons as to why you should continue to make music other than monetary and financial reasons. When I go on these trips, I'm in the moment for the most part, and I'm just enjoying it and making memories that I'll literally take with me for the rest of my life. And I have so many stories that I could share with my children, with my family, whatever, fine. And I just so happen to be recording bits and pieces of it while I'm overseas and while I'm on vacation or traveling. It doesn't matter how many views or if I go viral from any of those clips or any of those videos that I put out. I can honestly say, for the most part, I don't care. Like, partially, I think some of the reason a lot of this too is from social media detox. And when you realize that, like, it's such a tremendous waste of time and a time sink from actually living life. You have to go through that first, I think, necessarily in order to get to this point. And that's really going to be a challenge for a lot of you, I feel, especially the ones that are really about the hustle shit. But go through the hustle shit, man. Maybe it'll work out for you. Cool. Maybe it won't. And maybe you come to the same conclusion that I have, which is, look, man. And again, some people might not be in the position to have the luxury to fall back on a 9 to 5. Maybe you did make the jump, as you know, music is your full-time thing and you don't have another choice. I can understand that. That's not my position, but I mean, you know, you make the best with whatever situation you got going for yourself, but that's not my position. And I would just say, going back sort of to the vlogs situation, yeah, I just don't care. I put it out and I don't even really promote it. And maybe you could say, oh, that's kind of a waste. Maybe, but dude, like, I went on a whole ass trip to a foreign country, and you know, I had my buddy edited the video for me, whatever, and I'm taking care of him. You know what I'm saying? Making sure that he's paid. And yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's just like, maybe this is just me. Maybe it's just me and how I feel about things. Maybe I'm just Gotten to a point in my life, especially that I'm getting older, where it's just like, hey man, like it's cool, you know. But I honestly feel like this is probably the best place to be for me. And that's the thing. You might not. You might have more hustle and more drive than I did. God bless you. That's great. Absolutely. Or maybe not. Or maybe you come to the realization that's similar or something equivalent to mine. And that's the point of view that I'm speaking from right now. And I can just say that I am going to come back to making music. But I'm going to do it on my own terms now. And I'm not at all worried or concerned about the numbers or statistics or going viral. I just don't. And I'm not going to be I'm not going to stop living life and like finding times and things to enjoy and sacrificing new experience and stuff that I want to experience and go out and see the world because I'm so deadlocked on becoming the next, like, I don't know, Sabrina Carpenter, like, I name big time artist here, medium sized artist here. You know, it's just not worth it to me, man. Like, and maybe this kind of lends itself to a different kind of video where I can talk about like the mentality that kind of puts me at ease with a lot of what I'm saying, like genuinely. But again, that's a different kind of video that I can maybe make later on. Um, but yeah, let me see here. Let me check my notes. Joy creating. Yeah. Don't do this for money. Do it because you enjoy it. If you need to take a break, take a break. But yeah, once you create something, nobody can take it away from you, man. And once it's out there, dude. And I also have to, um, and I feel like I should mention this. It's like I'm not famous, okay? But I've had enough experiences with my music journey and my creative process and with Sweats that I've walked away from a lot of personal victories from it, and a lot of good memories from it as well. And I can speak to one instance where I won't name her name, but she reached out to me and she told me how one of my songs really meant something to her for a struggle that she had just recently gone through. And you want to talk about memories, dude? That literally has stuck with me to this day. You know, and I think it's cliche to say, but if one of my songs just helped one person, then it'll be worth it. It's cliche, but I'm telling you, it's real. And I just want to know that whatever I do, like, I'm cool with internally, that means that I make a song that didn't drive me up a wall going fucking crazy to make, so to the point that I don't even enjoy listening to it afterward. Or don't even get hyped listening to it. And that spirit and in which the music was made just affects people in a way. It makes you feel something. There's an emotion behind it. You know? And that's really because it's meant to be shared. Music is meant to be shared, man. And Share it by all means. Don't keep it hidden. But don't like crash out because it's the best song ever to you and it didn't go viral. Just don't. I'm telling you, it's like, it's not worth it. Give it your best shot. And you know what? If you need to go out and you think I'm wrong, I could be wrong, maybe. And you go out and experience it and you get a different result, cool, dude. But I'm just one dude talking about his experiences from many years of doing this and many years of sacrifice and many years of money that I worked hard for, put into it. And yeah, it costs you, like anything in life, right? It's a sacrifice. You'd make one trade-off for another. But at the very end of the day, if you could just walk away with a song that you like, that you can have a moment years down the line and hear it in the shower and think, hey, that's me. And this isn't that bad. Start shaking a little ass. Then that'll be worth it. That should make it worth it enough. Just with that one reason alone, right? That's what I think anyway. And again, I feel like I've already said this, but so this might be completely taken out, but yeah, my music was always kind of a thing that I didn't know it at the time, but looking back at it now, it was just something that grew along with me. I'm almost 30. I turned 30 on February 27th, which again, if this video is coming out on that day, it's my birthday. And yeah, it's just looking at it from hindsight. Yeah, it was something that always kind of grew with me, and I don't think that that's a bad thing. I think one thing that kind of made it less enjoyable and stuff was definitely because when I made that pivot to something more serious, and especially after my brother passed away, a lot of the material was dark and a lot of it was reflecting a lot of what I was going through personally in the aftermath of his passing away. And it just wasn't, it was meaningful. And the concept was so cool. I'll have to probably take another video to kind of explain what I was trying to do with that. But it was just at a point where it just wasn't fun. It literally could not be fun. Like, it was hard. It was hard to like dig up that emotion. It was hard to make these songs that like you want to get hyped about, but they're tied to such a important, like, tragic part of my story filled with grief and sadness that it's hard to get hyped over. It's so weird, and that just kind of goes to show that sometimes it's like you sacrifice more than like your money. Like, you're sacrificing, like, I guess some of the time that you would need to heal. But also at the same point, like, to kind of counter that, to be fair, that's what kind of art is to, if you're feeling something, make a song that talks about or sounds like what you're going through. That's how you transmutate the pain. That's how you transmutate your grief. That's how you transmutate things that you go through and make something beautiful out of it, something meaningful out of it, to make the sacrifice, to make the pain worth something. So I can't necessarily say that process of me making that pivot and me making the songs darker and taking it in a different direction was bad, because that's what artists do. But at some point, like, because I was working on the second album, A Mountain Man Weeps, and I put out one song from that, not Pray for Me, Under Moonlight, and that's where I kind of just stopped, and I just couldn't. Went through a breakup, went through a pretty bad breakup, and that was kind of another sort of hard moment of grief that kind of just was the straw that broke the camel's back for all the years of I was just keep going and going and just getting these diminishing returns of the creative process, where I was just like, I'm done. I don't have any more to give to this anymore. And just like one day, it's just like, I don't got it in me. I don't got it in me to do it like this anyway. But then, I went and traveled and found another joy in my life. You know what I mean? Which is that. And yeah, I'm going to keep enjoying that. I think you can have multiple things that you enjoy. It doesn't take away your how you value them. You just value a multitude of things. And with those travels, I'm not trying to make this about traveling either, but they gave me a new insight to who I was and where my value lies. And kind of speaking on that, I know I'm kind of a little rambly here right now, but I feel like it needs to be said. And again, there's this one line in a James Blake song called Meet You in the Maze where he says, music can't be everything. And that's one thing that I learned through all this, right? Because I was looking back at like some old text message or something, or some old note that I had made years before, when I was in that hustle grind set sort of state of mind when it came to my music. And basically I was like, if I'm not successful and if I don't make it, I'm a failure and my life means nothing. And it's just not true. It's just not true. You're more than an artist, right? You're more than the music that you make. You're a human, an ever-evolving human being traveling through space and time, going on an experience. And you think that if you don't make it big and you don't make millions and if you don't go to the Grammys, that your life is worthless. That is such a like flawed and short-sighted way of looking at life and music in general. And I can only say it now that I've come out on the other side, but your music can't be everything. And you're more than what you create, because your life in and of itself is a creation. And music is just a sort of offshoot expression of that, and beautiful, nonetheless, but it's just one aspect of the total life journey and experience and the whole shebang. But I think I've pretty much covered everything that I've wanted to. But I hope this helps someone out there, aspiring musicians or musicians that are currently going through it. And also to those of people who supported me, family and friends, and anyone in between. Um, if you've supported or listened to any of my songs up until this point, thank you. Thank you. That always will mean something to me. And I look forward to see what this year and the following years to come will yield. Um, and I just appreciate your just taking the time, listen to a song, let me know what you think. And I will be back. I'm not gonna say when, because that kind of defeats the purpose, but I will be back. And when I do come back, it will be something it feels like me. Not to say that I did things that didn't feel like me, but it'll be more true. It'll be more true to who I want to be. Happy, smiles, thought provoking as well. But yeah, want to be happy, you know, and and enjoy life. And if it can follow that sort of path in some way, shape, or form, then that's what I intend to do. And yeah, absolutely. So, that being said, to sign off from this video, my name is Sweats, and I will be back making some fun little tunes for you to listen to if you so desire. And that's where I've been, and that's been my story. I'm sure there's a lot of other stories I could tell. Maybe I'll make like story time videos or something like that. But I like this. I like this heart to heart talks where I could just be open and honest and kind of show you guys what's going on in my head. And I look forward to what comes in the future. I know it's going to be great. But with that, that is going to end this video. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Subscribe if you so choose. If you got value, like this as well. If you gotten value out of it, be a part of the journey. And I'll catch you. I'll catch you later. And as always, shishakada. Bye, guys.